Hello friends, this is Professor Amarjeet Kaur. I've been working with Gurugram University in the Department of Management. It's been more than 3 decades that I have been working into education and food industry. It's my privilege that I'm here with you this day to talk about capital structure theories. So this is the topic which we started in the past. Part 1 was discussed where we introduced all the important theories in capital structure. We spoke about net income approach, the first theory, in detail, and today in this session I am going to pursue the discussion further. I am going to talk about the application of net income approach or net income theory amongst the 8 theories which we are going to discuss in future as well. So friends, net income approach, what is that? So this is pertaining to the financing decision. As we all know, there are 3 decisions in finance, investing, financing and dividend. Under investing, we discussed about capital budgeting in detail, risk and return adjustment as well. And then we started with the second decision, which is financing. In financing, we talked about cost of capital, capital structure as well, and now currently we are pursuing capital structure theories. So theories are always based on assumptions. We discussed about assumption as well, and the first theory we discussed in the last session or last part 1 in this regard was net income approach, which was given by Durand. And as per this approach or theory, the company can increase, any particular company can increase its value by increasing the debt component in the total financial structure, and the higher the debt component, means leverage would be, the higher would be the value of firm as per this theory, which is net income theory. Why? Because this theory assumes that debt is a cheaper source and investors are not risk conscious or are not concerned if a company increases the debt component. So which is of course not a realistic assumption, but nevertheless this is the assumption. Basis on that, we learned that the value of firm will keep on rising when the debt component is maximized, and that particular point is the optimum capital structure where we have maximum debt and no equity or minimum equity. It means the company with maximum debt would have higher value in the market than the company which have lesser amount of debt or no debt. So this was the theory in general. So today at this moment I am going to pursue the application of this theory. So what to understand the application of the net income approach, in determining the overall cost of capital, that is WACC, weighted average cost of capital, we follow certain steps. So what are those steps as per NI approach? First step is that we will be determining earning before interest and tax. So step 1, determine EBIT, which is earning before interest and tax. Second step is compute net income. EBIT, interest on debt funds, is subtracted from earning before interest and taxes. Like so the NI, the net income, is equivalent to EBIT, and from that we subtract interest which we are paying on debenture or any other debt fund. Step 3 is compute the market value of the equity. So market value of equity can be identified either by a symbol of E, capital E, or S. S is shareholder fund, E is equity, which can be calculated by dividing net income, the income available to shareholders for distribution, by cost of equity, that is KE, right. So value of equity, E, market value of equity, is equal to NI divided by KE. So that is the third step. Step 4 is compute market value of debt, which is B or D. B is bonds, D is debt. So which is equal to cost of debt divided by cost cost of debt is equal to basically I divided by cost of debt, which gives you market value of debt. So, I is the total amount of interest, amount of interest divided by cost of debt. So, that is the fourth step. Step number 5, compute market value of firm, which is V, which can be calculated by summing up two things, E and D, which is value of equity and value of debt. So, this can be calculated other way as well. EBIT divided by KO can also be the formula for calculation of V. V is value of firm. These symbols were discussed in the past. So, this is the step to calculate the value of firm. Last is to calculate the value of the cost of capital, the overall cost of capital, or you may call it as weighted average cost of capital. So, KO is equal to EBIT divided by V, right. So, that is the last step in application of net income approach. Now, we will learn about the the real application. We will follow all these 6 steps and we will try to solve small caselets so that we could prove the assumptions, which means we could see how NI approach is applied or can be applied with the help of these practical examples. So, I am going to take up the first case here, the caselet under net income approach. The caselet goes like this. Mehul Company Limited is expecting an annual EBIT of rupees 2 lakhs. The company has 6 lakhs in 10% debentures. The cost of equity capital or capitalization rate is 12.5%. Compute the value of the firm under NI approach, net income approach, the first one, right. So, understand the question carefully. There is a company, right, which has an EBIT, earning before interest and tax, of rupees 2 lakhs, right, 10,000. So, company is earning 2 lakh 10,000 and company is using debt funds, means it is a leveraged firm which is using 6 lakhs debentures and is paying 10% interest on it. That is the question which is given. And the cost of equity capital, which is KE, is also given 12.5%. And what we are supposed to calculate is the value of firm under NI. So, V is to be calculated and we can extend that in calculating WACC, weighted average cost of capital, as well. So, how to solve this question? We will follow those same steps which we just discussed a few minutes ago, right. So, net income is given. So, we will take up the net income less the interest of 10%, which is 60,000, right. So, net income 2 lakhs minus 10% interest on debentures. So, earning which is available to equity shareholders becomes 1,50,000. The net income is 2 lakh 10,000. Please read it as 2 lakh 10,000. And then the market capitalization rate is 12.5%. So, if we calculate S, which is KE is given and the NI is also calculated 150. If we divide 150 by KE, 12.5%, which is NI divided by KE is the formula for S, or you may call it E, equity value. The market value of equity is coming out to be 12 lakhs and market value of debenture is already given 6 lakh. So, total value of the firm would be 18 lakh. If you want to extend this example and you want to calculate weighted average cost of capital, you simply need to EBIT divided by V is equal to KO, overall cost of capital, because the formula for V is EBIT divided by KO and we want to know KO, then by interpolation KO goes on the left. So, that it would be EBIT 2 lakh 10,000 divided by 18 lakhs. That is how it will be solved. Now, I am going to take up another example, another question of net income approach. It goes like that. An organization expects a net income of rupees 1,20,000. It has rupees 3,50,000 10% debentures. The equity capitalization rate of company is 12%. Calculate the value of firm and overall capitalization rate according to the net income approach. So, ignoring the tax effect. So, understand the question. You have already seen this question, that there is a company and it is expecting to earn how much? 1,20,000. So, 1,20,000 is annual EBIT, earning before interest and tax. Company is a leveraged company and it is using debt debentures and it is paying 10% interest on the debentures. So, 3,50,000 is the worth of debenture, company is using 10% on it, means 35,000 is the interest which is paid, and KE is also given. The equity capitalization of the company is 12%, it is given. What we are supposed to calculate is the value of the firm and overall capitalization rate. So, please understand that this overall capitalization rate, weighted average cost of capital, KO, they all are one and the same thing. Please do not get confused if either of the term is used in exams or otherwise in practicing in any question. So, I repeat, the overall capitalization rate, cost of capital for the company, KO, WACC, they all are one and the same thing, right. So, now given these figures, these numbers, let us learn how to apply NI into practice, how to calculate the value as well as the cost of capital for the company, for the given company here. So, EBIT will start with EBIT, which is given 1,20,000. As I said, 10% debentures are there and the value of the debenture was 3,50,000. So, it means 35,000 is the amount of interest. So, earnings available to equity shareholders become 85,000, which is 120 minus 35, right. So, 1,20,000 EBIT minus interest of 10% on debenture, 35,000. So, coming out to be 85,000. So, this is NI. NI is net income available to shareholders, because shareholders, here we are referring equity shareholders, and equity shareholders have right to receive income after paying interest on all kind of loans, debentures, bonds or anything, and even also paying dividend to preference shareholders. Since in this example or the previous example I took, preference debentures or preference share was not given. So, it is not coming into the question. Otherwise, net income is the income which can be distributed amongst equity shareholders. That is what we mean, right. So, that is why we are subtracting interest which is to be paid by the company out of the income company earned, and from that we subtracted this interest and we get is NI, which is amount distributable or available for distribution to equity shareholders. And the market capitalization rate, which is for the shareholders, is given 12.5%. So, if we divide NI, which is 85,000, with 12.5%, which is the market capitalization rate, we will be able to calculate S or E. S or E means market value of equity or market value of shares. So, which is coming out to be 7,08,333, and now market value of debenture is already given 3,50,000. If you sum up these two values, you will get value of the firm. That is what the question asks you about, right. So, we can be calculated. So, 10,58,333 is the value which is coming up. Now, if you have to calculate the overall capitalization rate, what will you do? Just think about it. I mentioned in the previous example as well. What do you say? Just think. EBIT divided by what? KO is equal to V, but we have already calculated. We have EBIT. Now, but what we want to answer is KO, overall cost of capital. So, if you divide EBIT with value of firm, your answer will be KO. You can do this, just take it as a quick hands on experience, just do it yourself. So, divide your EBIT 1,20,000 with V is 10,58,333. That will give you the answer for KO or WACC or overall capitalization rate. Either of the three things you may call it as. Okay. So, this was the second case of net income approach. I would like to take up another example, other cases of to help you understand this concept very well. So, let us take up one more example. Another caselet is an organization expects a net income of rupees 1,20,000. It has 3,50,000, 10% debenture. So, up to this extent the question is very much similar to the previous one. The equity capitalization rate of the company is 12%. Calculate the value of firm and overall capitalization rate according to net income approach, ignoring tax. But we are adding up further. If the debentures are increased to rupees 4 lakh instead of 350, right? So, company wants to increase leverage because we want to prove in NI that value goes up if debt is increased, right? Under that is what the NI approach say. So, for that is to prove that aspect, the same previous caselet has been extended. And here we say that if debentures are increased to rupees 4 lakhs, what shall be the value of the firm and the overall capitalization rate? Let us learn how to solve this problem. So, the solution to the case would be, we have net income of 1,20,000 less interest of debentures 10%. Now, what has happened? We have 4 lakh debentures. So, I am not solving it for the first one. The first part has already been solved. I have shown you solution to the first part, right? So, I am just solving the another part, the extended part, right. So, remember that previous solution in your mind and let us now learn. So, we have net income of 1,20,000 and then we have interest of 10%. Since the debentures have gone from 350 like 3,50,000 to 4 lakh, right, the leverage has been increased. So, but the rate of interest is same 10%. So, how much would be the interest? 10% on 4 lakh means 40,000. Now, earning available to equity shares are 80,000, which is EBIT 120 minus 40,000. So, NI becomes 80,000. The market capitalization rate for equity is 12.5%. So, we can calculate value of equity or S by dividing 80,000 with 12.5%, that gives you 6,66,666. So, this is S. D is 4 lakh, right? The D is 4 lakh. What will be the value of firm? 10 lakh 66,666. So, do you see a change? Did you notice a change? Let us go back to this slide. Earlier when company was using 3,50,000 debentures, the value of the firm was 10,58,333, and now when the company has changed debentures from 3,50,000 to 4 lakhs, the value is 10,66,660, right. I hope you could get that. You could understand that how the value of a firm as per NI approach will go up if the debt is increased, right. So, though it seems to be very unrealistic assumption that the investor are not worried that how much debentures are used, how much debt is used in total. But the fact of the matter is a company may not be able to use as much debt as it wants to be, because the fact of the matter is investors are risk averse. They would like not to have put their money, equity shareholders where the company is using so much of debt, right. So, this is the approach, of course, which is based on certain assumption, and in fact the researcher, the person who pioneered this approach, NI approach, he himself challenged his own approach and came up with another approach altogether, and reverse 360-degree turn, that value of the firm is not affected by. So because maybe we all are learners, and he realized that this assumption he took for this particular theory or approach is not real. So that is why he himself challenged his own theory later on and came up with NOI approach, which we will discuss very soon in the next session. But I am just discussing this NI approach in the true sense of it, right. So we will take up one last example, and before we wind up, so let us take up another question. So what is the next example? Assuming no taxes are given and earning before interest and taxes, interest I at 10% and equity capitalization rate KE below, calculate the total market value of each firm, also determine the weighted average cost of capital. So we have been given couple of companies, more than one, and we have been told that assume there is no tax, right, and earning before EBIT is given, I is also given at 10% rate, and equity capitalization rate is also given. So we have been given data in the coming table. Here it is. This is the question. There are 3 firms A, B, C. EBIT is 3 lakh, 4 lakh and 5 lakh, and then I is 30,000, 60,000 and 1 lakh, and KE for A is 11%, for B is 15%, for C is 14%, right. So this is the data given. Calculate the value of firm as well as KO. So let us take up this solution now in detail. Let us understand. So we have 3 companies. Let us take the first one, A, firm A in the second column. EBIT is 3 lakhs, interest is 30,000. So if we subtract interest from EBIT, we will get net income, which comes out to be 2,70,000. Now KE is given 11%. Now with the help of these two values, NI 2,70,000 for firm A divided by 11%, it gives me value 24,54,545, right. So the market value of D is given. What is that? If you look at that, the D is given, means your D is what? Your D is interest is 30,000, right, which is 10%. It means your D is 3 lakhs, simple. You can calculate that. So total value of firm would be D plus S. S we calculated, S or E, that is market value of equity or market value of shares. It is been calculated by dividing NI with KE, which gave us the value of S. The D we calculated 3 lakhs. If you sum up these two, it will give you the value of firm 27,54,545, right. Now how to calculate KO? As I said, KO can be calculated by dividing EBIT, which is 3 lakhs, which you just saw, with value of firm, and that comes out to be 10.89, right. So this is the calculation of overall cost of capital for firm A, and on the same pattern we will calculate the overall cost of capital as well as value of the firm for firm B as well. Now, EBIT is 4 lakhs, interest is 10% on the debentures, which is 60,000, means debentures are 6 lakhs, not given, but you can calculate, you can understand that. NI is, of course, if you calculate EBIT minus interest, which comes out to be 3,40,000, and KE, cost of equity or capitalization cost, is 15%. So the market value of S comes out to be 22,66,667. Now market value of D, debentures, as we said, if the interest is 60,000, which is 10% of the debenture, means debentures are 6 lakhs. So, we add these debenture value to S. So, the total comes out to be 28 lakhs 66,667. And now, if you divide EBIT with V, value of firm, you get KO of 13.595%, right. So, that is the K calculation of KO for firm B. And now, the same pattern if we follow for firm C, we have been given EBIT 5 lakhs, interest is given 1 lakh, NI would be 4 lakhs, right, because EBIT minus I is NI. Then KE is given 14%. So, value of S, value of market value of shares for this company would be 28 lakhs 57,143. Now, market value of debt 10% is equivalent to 1 lakh, it means 100% is equal to 10 lakhs, right. So, with the help of given data we can calculate the value of D, which is 10 lakhs. Sum up these two values, which would be the value of S and value of D together, is the value of firm V, right, 38 lakhs 57,143. Now, if we divide your EBIT, which is 5 lakhs, with this value, we will get the KO 12.9%, right. So, that is the calculation of KO V under NI approach. So, you can see very well in this, these were 3 independent questions, and but in the previous example we very well proved that if a company decides to increase leverage or decides to increase debentures or loan component in the total structure, the value of firm goes up as per this theory given by Duran, which is NI. Of course, based on certain assumption, and all certain assumptions are not true even, but this was the practical application of NI. I hope you were able to understand this approach, learn the practical aspects as well. So, now this is the time to wind up, friends. Thank you very much for being with me. Thank you.